Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and a subscriber who has a little problem, and I'm going to flip his comment in right here. And basically he's saying that he feels the closed grip bench press in his dominant arm, his right tricep, a lot more than his left. And it feels like he's developing a muscle imbalance as a result of it. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's see if we can help this young man out. All right guys, this is a topic I probably cover a couple times a year. And you know, you get so many new people who come through and not everyone watches every video that they don't understand these things. All right, there's a big misconception and myth out there that barbell work, it's easier to develop left to right, or you know, unilateral muscle imbalances on. That's not actually true. It is actually just as easy and for the exact same reasons to develop the exact same imbalances using dumbbell work as it is with barbell work. And in some cases, even with machines. And some people are like, what? How can you unevenly load the body with machines? Using bad technique and bad training methods. That's how. This is a lot simpler than people realize. You want to know, in my experience and just observation over the years, just looking at basic biomechanics, watching people's form, what is the most common two causes of people loading their body unevenly with a big heavy barbell movement? Number one, grinding. Grinding out reps. Trying to do that last rep to where your form breaks down just slightly. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about with that, stop and think about what you guys have seen people do over the years. Of when a rep gets really, really hard, what do people do sometimes? When it slows down, meaning if you ever do a rep to where the bar slows way down, like normally your reps are, I don't know, 1 second or 3/4 of a second, and then all of a sudden you slow down to like 1.5 to 2 seconds if you've been doing 3/4 of a second reps. Invariably, what do people do? They shift to the side a little bit. If you shift it all like this on that bench press to where you have one shoulder, you come up like this at all, it's not one side coming up higher than the other, it's you shifting your shoulder blades. It's you shifting up or down slightly. It's grinding to get that last rep. You see people do it on bench press, closed grip bench press, overhead press, everything. You sometimes even see it on squats. That grinding causes you to unevenly load. When you shift to the side even an inch, or you shift on your shoulder blades at all on a press, what are you doing? Stop and think about it. The weight's too heavy, right? You can't lift it anymore. You're struggling to lift it, so to shift it up and you break your form down, you break down into bad technique because the weight's slowing down. How do you get the weight up? If it's too heavy and it's slowing down, how is it that a person is possibly getting the weight up? They shift their body into a way to where more of the weight distributes to their stronger side. Now stop and think about that for a minute. Stop and think about that for a minute. If you shift over on the last rep of every set, workout after workout, week after week, month after month, you're doing the hardest rep, the one that's stimulating the most metabolic fatigue, that one that's recruiting those last bit of muscle fibers, right? You're shifting in a way that puts more stress and more of the weight on the stronger side. So which side is getting a little bit more muscle growth and strength from that set? The strong side, in his case, the right side. So if every single last rep of every set you do month after month, the weight, because your technique is breaking down, shifts to the stronger side and it's getting more stimulation, it's going to continue to get stronger. It's going to continue to get bigger, slightly, just a hair faster than the other side. You do that for 6 months straight, what happens? You get 6 months of growth to where the already slightly stronger and bigger side, because we all have a dominant side, on your big heavy barbell movements, the ones that stimulate the most growth, is getting more workout. It's going to get even more imbalance. You're going to create a bigger imbalance. Now, a lot of guys' solution, what do? They say, well, I'm going to try dumbbells to even that out. They switch to dumbbells because they're getting imbalanced. Well, what happens? They've already got a muscle imbalance. The right side, the right tricep, the right pec and everything is stronger than the left, right? So they get to that last rep. They get to the last rep. The weight starts to slow down. It gets hard. What do they do with the dumbbells? They shift. They shift the weight over. They shift their body underneath the weight in such a way that it makes the weak side easier to lift, because it changes the angle and position under the weight, and they cheat the weight up just a couple little extra pounds on the last rep. With the dumbbells, they're using the dumbbells to supposedly even out their balance, but they end up doing the exact same bad technique that caused the imbalance with the barbell work. And people do it too. If they don't think about this and they just train and they don't think about what they're doing, people will do the exact same thing with dumbbells, even if that's all they use. It's called bad technique, bad training methods. And with the dumbbells, they will end up getting one side that's bigger and stronger than the other, because it was their dominant side already and they shift to cause that. You'll see people do the exact same thing on squats. And basically, grinding and not getting tight enough are the causes. I can tell you right now, you want to know the people who I can tell 9 out of 10 times who are going to grind, if they're going to try a really hard rep and try to go to failure. Again, going to failure is not something you should do unless you know how to actually train. And I don't care if you got 10 years of experience. You can have 10 years of really bad experience and still suck at what you're doing and not know what you're doing. 9 times out of 10, I can tell you a guy who's going to grind when he tries to hit failure. You know how I can tell? Watch his feet. Watch his feet. The guy who's a floppy noodle, whose feet dance or his feet move around, at any point after he's unracked the weight, that's the same motherfucker who's going to grind and he's going to shift to the side. How do I know that? Because he's loose. He's not tight. He doesn't have his back locked in. He doesn't have his shoulders locked in. He doesn't have his feet dug into the ground. When you do any sort of press, your feet should be glued firmly to the ground, whether you're a heel bencher or you bench off the balls of your feet, up on your toes. Even top level lifters you see who bench on their toes, their feet don't move. They dig and they lock that shit into the floor. They lock their ass into the bench. They create a stable, powerful platform to where their core and their spine is ratcheted up so tight that you couldn't pull a pencil out of their ass with a tractor. That's what an even strong bencher looks like on any press. I don't care if it's an incline. I don't care if it's a flat bench. I don't care if it's dumbbell, barbell. I don't care. A powerful bencher who is ready to bench correctly and evenly and powerfully will have their feet and their ass dug into the floor in the bench, and they will not move even of a quarter of an inch on a 1 rep max. They could set a world record in the bench press, and that shit will not move visibly at all. The guys whose feet dance and shift around, he's a big floppy noodle, and he's the guy who's going to develop an imbalance training to failure because he does not know how to set up. He's loose, he's floppy, he's not ready to drive that bar up explosively, because you get the most uneven when the bar slows down. If you're dug in with a stable base and you come down and you press with power and you're dug in tight, that bar is going to go up even. Even when you see the bar dip in a competition, it's because they're using weight that's probably right at their 1 rep max. And if you're underneath a max, it shouldn't happen. But if you dig in tight and you avoid grinders completely and you focus on coming down even and coming up explosively with your scapula pulled back correctly, and remember guys, if your scapula pulled back correctly, you'll get proper chest stimulation on any press. If you come down even, you keep everything tight, you dig your feet into the floor, your ass into the bench, your scapula pulled together tight enough to crush a walnut, and you don't grind. Because grinding is form breakdown. You're training yourself to do bad reps, to use bad technique, to shift yourself in a way that loads your body unevenly. Well, if you load your body unevenly with any exercise, you should expect to have muscle imbalances. You're training stuff unevenly. You're forcing the strong side to do more work. Well, whatever in your body does more work does what? It grows faster. Work equals size. Straightforward. It's a pretty clear cut and dry thing. So if you're loose and you're doing grinders, that is the cause of most people's muscle imbalances on the left to right. Not necessarily other imbalances, but your left to right imbalances, 95% of the causes is caused by uneven loading by bad technique. And bad technique, which can include looseness, is reinforced when you grind. I don't think most people should be doing grinders. I mean, that's a controversial topic. And I know that a lot of people will argue that in top-level powerlifting even. But someone who is trying to develop an even body left to right, both strength and muscle, they want everything even. The worst thing in the world you can do is grind. Because grinding brings out the worst parts of your technique. When you grind, you're going to find out how bad your form and technique really is. It gives it away every time. Just like oftentimes a true 1 rep max will give away your bad technique. And that's how you get imbalances. And you know what? It can be so bad in some people, the tendency to do it because they get so loose that you see it even on machines. I've seen people get on hammer strength machines and still do the same thing. And most people would say, okay, well, if it happens to dumbbells, it can't possibly happen with a machine. Yeah, it does, because they get loose. They don't set up tight, because then they're thinking, oh, everything's isolated. I don't have to think of this as a full body exercise. I can be all loose and floppy and just focus on my chest and triceps. And everything's going to be okay. And then they end up grinding and they end up shifting on that last rep, or the couple of them, if the spotter's helping them, they shift to one side a little bit. They let one shoulder blade come out slightly more than the other. They load their body underneath the weight just a little bit, an inch or two to the left or the right, and that's it. It's uneven. And if you do that uneven, what's going to happen? You're going to grow unevenly. What else would you expect? What other possible outcome can there be from loading underneath the weight unevenly? The only possible outcome is that one half of the body gets more stimulation than the other. There is no other possible outcome for that. It is impossible to get even stimulation in your body if you shift yourself in such a way that one side of the body takes more of the weight than the other. It is completely impossible to get equal stimulation that way. It's physically impossible. Stop doing it. Problem solved, guys. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.